Hi, my name is Johannan. I'm joined here with Sean, and we are going to talk you through Budget Air. Now, what this is kind of a sky scanner, but obviously budgetized. Now, as you can see from our Jira project, this is our Scrum. Now, for our first sprint, we added too much, such as database creation, populate the database, which is going to flow back into the backlog after this sprint, which we can then later on use it. We have user validation, and we separate them into the different epics, as you can see from here, the different epics that we have created. Now, we also have a timeline, a small timeline made up already. For our first sprint, these are the different tasks that we are going to have. Then for our CI/CD GitHub over here, started off with I initialized the commit, then Sean made a branch, merged it back into master, made another branch, merged back into master, so on and so forth. As you can see from this one, both me and Sean during class, we sat down, we added all the CRUD, changed the form, and added the test cases. Unfortunately, it does not show any of the code that I did with him because we were using Visual Studio Code and the live sharing on it. Turns out doesn't put both of people that did code on it. And now I'll pass you over to Sean, and Sean will talk you through the code.
Hi, my name is Sean, and I'm going to be walking you through the code. So we're going to import random. What this is going to do is generate a random string. So it's going to start off with BA, and it's going to be in between these two values. It's going to come down into the user ID and generate their user ID. We're going to do this because a user never actually generates their ID, and you know all they're ever doing is making a username and a password. The rest here is going to have to be filled in or the user won't be created. So coming into the main, we're importing that function from the user schema, generate user ID. We have our get function here. This is where all our CRUD is happening. We can get by user ID. This is going to be more of an admin side of thing. We have our create new user. So when a user is creating an account, if they don't enter a user ID, which they won't get the option to or be prompted to, it's going to generate a user ID instead. Um, we can update a user by their username since they won't know their user ID. And we have our user delete. So this is going to be done by ID. A user can send in a ticket for their account to be deleted, but once that ticket is made, our job is to then back up their data in case they ever need something off that account before we delete it for good. Coming over then into our test user, we have all our test cases. We have our default values for the user. Um, we test here to see if a user is created properly. So we feed it the values that we had here. And if those are fine, it will return a status code of 201. We also test to see if the user ID is generated. We give it the username Sean, Mary. We see if those usernames have been, user IDs have been created. If they are, we get a 201 created successfully. We test here for duplicate user IDs. So we have the username Ava, we have the username Liam. We then force a duplicate, and if those are if those user IDs match, we get a status code of 409. Coming down here, we see if get user is working fine, and 404 if they're not found. We also have test if the delete works. So we get user payload, username delete me. Coming down here then to the update user, we get all the user data and we use the username from that user data to then change it by using update payload, and then the username then changes to updated Sean. If it's successful, we give it back a status code of 200. If it's unsuccessful, we get a status code of 404. We have our requirements txt, so if someone wants to go into this, they can, and they can do a pip install -r requirements. We also have our git ignore, just so we're not filling our GitHub with a bunch of random files that no one actually needs. Okay, so coming over to the Swagger, we're going to generate a user. So we're not going to pass it any user ID. We're going to see down here that it automatically generates the user ID. I have an example of here of what happens when we leave the user ID field in. So here we can see that we've left it in and it just says string. So we're going to grab this one from the one that I did create that is proper, and we're going to come down here. So we're going to get user by its ID. I'm going to execute it. So now we can see that our user is here, and we're taking it by user ID. We're also going to have delete user, so I'm going to paste this one in here. That's the user ID from the original. We're going to come down here. We're going to see that everything was deleted. If we come back up to get, we're going to see that that is now gone. Now we're going to update this one using our update function. We're going to give the username here, and we're going to add in all these random. So we're going to just make a random one here ourselves. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. Going to give it the new username of Sean_Maloney, and we're just going to leave all this here. We're going to execute this. Going to see that it was updated. I'm going to come back up to get users just to make sure it was updated. Boom, we see that it's all been updated. So that's all for this video. We don't have anything else to talk about right now. Thank you for listening.